Hi, everyone, and I'm here with Tito Rios of Dash Labs. Good to meet you, Tito. What's your official title over there at Dash Labs?
So I'm a senior data structures developer and analyst.
Interesting. And how would you land a gig like that?
I actually ran into Evan himself when I was out traveling, and we had a discussion about economics and blockchain, and at the end of it, which could have been anywhere between an hour and a half and 2 hours, pretty long conversation at that point, he asked if I wanted to work on this project with him, and as someone who is just about to finish up undergrad, obviously had to go with a yes there.
Well, that sounds great. I mean, first job, first thing out the gate, going with Dash Labs that a lot of people don't even know exists. In fact, a lot of people in the Dash ecosystem who do know it exists don't really know it exists anymore because they just heard Evan talking about all kinds of cool stuff he was going to be working on, and then he just floated away. And now all of a sudden, hey, we have signs of life from Dash Labs. So how is Dash Labs doing these days?
So Dash Labs is without a doubt alive and kicking. It's pretty much a 7-day work week for us, and it never stops. We do clearly make an effort to keep everything under wraps for as long as possible before we can give some real deliverables towards the end. So now is the right time to come back out of the darkness and show people we're alive.
Nice. How many of you guys are there working over there?
So there are 5 of us. We of course have Evan, we have Jeff Zhang, and we have myself and our other senior data structures developer, Shedley, as well as our senior systems admin and developer, Daniel.
Nice. That's quite a little crew. And I have not seen a single treasury proposal that has come forth titled Dash Labs. Maybe there were a few inflated marketing proposals that I didn't see the results of, so there could have been some shuffling off of there. But is this all? But Evan said he was going to fund things like this on his own out of something he set aside from his own stuff. So is this still all Evan's funding child?
This is still totally Evan's funding child, yeah.
Interesting. So he hasn't spent it all on drinks with little umbrellas in them on the beach.
I would say absolutely not.
Very interesting. So what all is Dash Labs working on? We've heard some things before about GPU accelerator stuff and looking into custom open source hardware for master nodes and a whole bunch of stuff. We heard ideas thrown out, but what is it that Dash Labs is mainly focusing on right now?
So right now what we're trying to develop and is really starting to come to fruition and put itself together is what we're calling Dash Labs Data Collection Protocol. And what we're doing is we're creating a 2-sided fluid role market where people's research and data outputs can be put on an open market and then exchanged via Dash transactions. Right now the goal is to really promote and distribute research from academia to make it more available on the corporate side so that we can really enhance the speed of innovations as well as incentivize further research so that we can continue to make strides not just as a business or an industry or anything, but pretty much as humanity as a whole. That's the goal right now, is to really push research forward as much as we can with this platform, as well as expanding the Dash ecosystem to a fully functional marketplace.
So it's basically a marketplace for academic research that's going to be online, and it's going to facilitate different people buying that research, buying access to that research. So it's basically a bridge between academia, all across academia, but also then with, say, the corporate world and then everything else. Where did this kind of idea come from? What's the need? What does not exist that this platform existing will solve?
So at the moment, academic data and really cutting-edge research tends to be behind a few walls of access. You already have the publishing companies which produce in scientific journal, which already have really high fees to access them in the first place. And you'll see when you log on, sometimes there's like $24 to $26 fees just to get to a single article. And that tends to happen when you're not even sure you need that article yet. So it really disincentivizes the, corporate side from even delving into trying to find research as much as funding their own in-house R&D. In addition to that, researchers in the current moment, because of this same publishing ecosystem I just described, tend to not reap the benefits of their own research. A lot of the rights tend to be handed over just to the institution and to the publishers, and that leaves the researchers high and dry, usually with pretty bare bones grants that only fund like undergraduate assistants and the base cost of the research.
Interesting. Yeah. So how will these rights be sort of preserved? I mean, obviously there's a lot of secrets to this. I'm sure that'll all come into the light. But do you have any preliminary ideas on how you'll keep it in the hands of the actual researchers?
So we have two ways of approaching this, both which will be applied and both which should be pretty effective, at least as our models are showing right now. We have the blockchain confirmations already. We also have a peer review system, which in turn, with every peer review, will log another transaction data on the blockchain. So not only do you have this person's initial upload being stored on the blockchain, you also have each subsequent peer review being stored as a secondary source of confirmations. On top of this, we have in development right now what we're calling the .dl format, which will serve as a centralized format on our platform. And the goal is really multi-dimensional indexing with still instant accessibility while protecting the data and the rights of the owner.
So does this have the capacity to sort of revolutionize the whole IP, intellectual property space, or am I hoping for too much out of this?
That is really the hope, I would say, at the core of this, that we can expand the breadth of research as well as increasing the attention while still maintaining the rights of those who produce it.
Interesting. So do you have an example of like what kind of research might be available on this platform, and then what kind of person would then interact with it on the other end, whether it be a collaboration or like a purchase?
Right. So the first phase goal is really to institute a fully academic ecosystem first so that universities can test the platform for the time being, really exchange data between research, and then hopefully collaborate more effectively remotely in using the platform. The next stage we're really looking forward to is getting corporate partners involved, where they will be able to directly contract data analysis to professors and researchers and be able to directly pay them for their work, and in turn make that research garnered, if it's outside of just a direct contract, available on platforms entirely. We also have the hope that corporations, they maintain a lot of stagnant data, not all of it remains relevant, and quite a bit is left unanalyzed, will produce what I just said, this stagnant data, and upload it to the platform for almost passive, out-of-house profit and insights.
Yeah, that's going to be very interesting to see that kind of exchange in research. Do you see this as a significant problem that the industry has reached already, to where you have people not being able to hold on to their rights or having issues with the rights issues and not being able to profit from it or monetize their own research? Is this a big problem? Because I'm not an academic at all. I did go to school, but that's about the limit of it. I'm not in academia, so I'm kind of blind to these sorts of problems.
Right. So the main issue we're seeing is this lack of incentivization to really push research, and even on top of that, this lack of incentive to become a researcher or professor or anything at the university level, which used to hold really high esteem in our society, but now if you look at the statistics, professors with incredibly high-ranking degrees and an insane amount of expertise still earn on average 17 to 20% less than their industry counterparts. And we see that as a huge issue for two reasons. You both get lots of research that could be groundbreaking and beneficial to quite a large swath of people being completely caged off just to a single player in the industry, and not published on a wider scale where it can be purchased, exchanged, and distributed to as many people as possible.
That's an interesting model, and I was just thinking about the barriers between the economic barriers that always spring up in these kind of old industries, and then there's always a new technology that comes out and kind of upsets it and makes it a lot more efficient. Do you? How's the interest for this technology been? So have you, for example, are universities and professors already lining up like, whoa, if this comes out, we're going to jump on this right away? The big fear, of course, is always you put all this hard work and time and effort into building something that's amazing, and then just sort of no one uses it or notices it. So is that a fear, or have you kind of seen a big demand for the release of this platform?
So luckily, having just graduated from undergrad, I still have a pretty close connection with a lot of my advisors at my university. Let's go Santa Clara, go Broncos. And the response that I've gotten across all fields, because I double majored in history and economics and have connections to other professors throughout the university, is there is quite a need for this. Because as it stands now, even private universities are very money focused. So their goal tends to be, let's get research out so we can get our name on papers, and then let's call it good at that. This, of course, disincentivizes researchers from going through and actually publishing their research, and it disincentivizes highly qualified people from getting into academia where their skills could be highly valuable on just a societal level.
Do you think this will have a big impact into the cryptocurrency universe itself? I mean, obviously we're thinking way bigger than this, but I'm also thinking about how the academic research in cryptocurrency has largely been around Bitcoin only. And then I do know that I believe the Monero team has had a few researchers on staff doing some academic research. And of course, Dash is famous for Arizona State University blockchain program, and my good friend Dr. Tapp doing all his amazing scaling research, etc. So do you think that this will be, do you think that you'll find, say, let me just throw some buzzword names of the day, Tron or IOTA are going to be converting some of their tokens to Dash to commission research on their own projects to see if they could work? Is that something that's a little bit realistic to imagine?
See, I think the goal at this point is to create and maintain a realistic use case for cryptocurrency on a large scale, specifically Dash. Mm-hmm. And hopefully, I mean, when you have a blockchain-based application that goes public and you have career researchers coming onto it to expand their research, a few of them are definitely going to get curious and start investigating blockchain more as a whole. So I have no doubt that if this platform is to take shape and really accelerate in the way we want it to, then we'll have quite a few more very qualified researchers starting to delve deeper into blockchain and cryptocurrency and really make it easier for the public to understand and hopefully create more and more use cases for, at this point, all different cryptocurrencies so that the industry can evolve and really start to achieve these societally groundbreaking goals that all of our firms really set.
Yeah, what are we calling this project? Does it have an official name yet, or is it kind of, you still haven't figured that out?
So the working title right now is the Dash Labs Data Collection Protocol, DLDCP.
Interesting. Dash Labs Data Collection Protocol. Say that 10 times fast.
Oh, yeah. No, that's right.
Yes, and then the initial stages of this, of course, everyone just wants to know, like, you get people excited about something, then they're like, when? So obviously, these kinds of things, there's a lot of variables as to when. But what's the kind of the progress on this protocol so far? How far is it along? When do you expect to see something that the public can kind of get at, even if it's not the finished product?
So right now, as far as our modeling goes, we're putting together the ecosystems, the different interactions between transactions, players, money flow, recording, blockchain integration, and system processing. That's all getting very solidified towards this point in our development. The next stage is fully developing and deploying the beta, which we hope to do by the end of first quarter 2019. So that would make a total life cycle of conception to deployment in about a year, which is no coincidence because I don't think we've stopped working since we had this idea. But
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically, some point by the end of March, we should see something that we can kind of poke around or test drive if everything goes well.
That's the goal.
Yeah, that's nice. That's just more and more releases on the horizon, more and more things to look forward to. And it's no coincidence, or it could be coincidence, but it is kind of the, what would it be, the second or so anniversary of the open house in Phoenix where we went to. I remember that was the very ending of March, and that's the last time I saw Evan in person. So I think it's pretty interesting how that time frame comes. Some people have actually been looking into doing an anniversary re-meetup after the open house, and so
that could be fun.
That could be fun to do, like a release party at that time.
Oh,
so
yeah.
is that the only thing that Dash Labs is working on right now?
We're looking into more, like you said, interfaces for operating masternodes in different ways and utilizing that both processing and transactional power, but we're trying to keep that under wraps for the time being, a little bit more on the confidential side, but we'll start releasing more of that once we make some more progress on DLDCP.
Yeah, so a lot of top secret, redacted, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, I think right now our business plan, if we were to release it, would look like a CIA document from the mid-'70s.
But that sounds good to me. I mean, obviously people want to see the whole rest of it, but you're working on some pretty top level kind of stuff. So we're just going to let you guys go back to work and just kind of bury your head and just not hear anything for a few more months until this happens, right? Or we're going to see more from you guys in the meantime?
So, at least as my background goes, I mean, I got to do some media training with my old fraternity in college. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and stay more on top of what we can release. Highly advise people to stay more on top of the U-Lab subreddit, because that's where we will be releasing information, just to keep it in one place and equally accessible. But it should be coming, I'd say, more and more frequently from this point on. But of course, yeah, until we get to full deployment and everything, it's still going to be slower in terms of releases, but they'll become far more consistent as far as our record has been thus far.
Yeah, interesting. So you're the new face of Evan then. So you're the new Evan.
You're flattering me a little bit.
Yeah, so what are you dyeing your hair? Gotta have that ginger look.
I might throw up the Clay Aiken early 2000s frosted tips instead.
Clay Aiken for frosted ginger tips, huh? That'd be very interesting.
It'd be fun to watch for sure.
Yes. Well, thanks a whole lot for sharing this. This has been very illuminating. I hope the community is going to be very, very excited about this whole process.
Yeah, that's the goal. I mean, the more the community realizes that we are putting in the work, we're still alive, I promise, and that we're still pushing and that Evan's still very much involved, I think would be great just for the whole Dash ecosystem.
Yes, I'm sure people will be very excited when this drops. Well, thanks again for your time.
Yeah, you got it, Joel.